Okay, what's up, guys? This is a continuation of that last video, the just rambling on about the changes that happened to this map. Obviously, I was kind of just going through it, commenting on the general changes. There are, however, a few changes that, looking again, that I noticed that I'll go over really quickly here, um, as well as really the primary purpose of this video is just talking about like base building, base location, base theory crafting, how it's going to affect how good it is with Gloomrot. Primarily, I'm going to be focusing on PvP, but my PvP boys, PvE boys, hey, look, you do you. I have nothing against it. It's awesome. There's plenty of places to build. If you're trying to speedrun progression, you can probably use some of these ideas as well. But usually, I know PvE players. A lot of times, you guys are really more so interested in like just finding a cool spot and building a cool castle. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You do you. Have fun. So Okay, so we're gonna look here on the interactive map again. I'm gonna talk about some early base. Actually, let's go over the changes first that I didn't mention in the last video. So first things first, things I found that were a little bit interesting is right here next to Quincy. I don't know how I missed this. It obviously it's not here. It doesn't show this. I know that this, if I remember correctly, is kind of like a mountain area. I don't know if this is a valley or maybe it is a valley, but this is clearly connected. And I'm curious if like, can I access this? Like, can we run down this way? Obviously, if you claim this as territory, you might have to fight some of these guys or whatever. I'm not really sure how this is going to work territory wise, but what I'm curious about is if this is open. Because if this is open and can't be built on, that is kind of nuts. That means that Iron Mine is really easy to access from tier 1 now around this zone, which gives some of what I would consider the best tier 1 base locations in terms of like progression and speed, and one of the best, if not the best, location in tier 1, which is this base right here next to Quincy. I personally think this is the best base location in all of tier 1. In terms of defense, I guess you might be able to argue there are other better points, kind of, but not really, because the craziest thing about this is that there's only one entrance, so it's really easy to block off at the very beginning of the game, and then it's really easy to build defense. You just honeycomb all of this, and then put stuff that matters up here, and it's really crazy. It's really ridiculous, honestly. Like they can only enter this, they have to fight through, 37 miles of honeycomb, and then go up this way, and then finally they're there, and yeah. So this is a really good base location. That's just for defensively. There's plenty of other reasons why this plot is so crazy, because it's close to Quincy, which means you can kind of check that as you're running around the map in the beginning of the game. See if you can't sneak in and leech or steal or gank a Quincy for somebody trying to clear them early. It's kind of in a central location. It's not too far from Copper Mine over here. It's not far at all from Bandit Trapper. There's a lot of paper, whetstone, that kind of stuff all around this. Obviously, Nicholas the Fallen right here. So this is just a really insane location. The longest you're going to run is over here for Pelora and Clive. But other than that, I mean, it's not really that far because it's really in a central location. So fairly central anyway in terms of how in terms of Fairbairn. So anyway, but this right here, this spot actually becomes crazy, and all these areas around here become crazy because if you can pass through this, you can actually you can get to Iron Man really easily. So anyone who's played this game enough knows that there's back entrances here, or exits. I'm sorry, back exits to Iron Mine, right here. You cannot enter these, but you can exit them. It's right here. So like right there, right here, you see the little ramps that go up. These jump down. You can't get back up, but you can go down them. So the idea is you go in through the one entrance, swing through, get as much iron as you can without getting ganked by somebody, and fighting, dodging Meredith and General Undead Commander around this whole area. Get as much iron as you can, and then you hop out these sides, hop out this side, and run back to your base, whichever way you go. And if this is open, that's kind of nuts. Like you could build in this location here, and then just immediately kill. Let's say you kill Quincy, you could run up here, get iron, hop back down, and immediately be back at your base with just an inventory full of iron. And it's just a quick little jog right there. So that's kind of nuts. That's kind of crazy. Another thing I noticed right here, it was this. This doesn't seem to have changed from this, but this is marked as tier 2 instead of tier 1. So I'm like, is there like a new POI here? Are there going to be more tier 2 enemy patrols here? Because as of right now, there's usually a few, but it's not strictly tier 2. So that was something interesting. And then other than that, I was also thinking up here, this might be an entrance. Look how close this is to Gloomrat, right over in this little peak right up here. Sorry, right about here. Um, this spot here is so close. I'm like, there could easily be a bridge here, and that would be very interesting because that would make these areas kind of easy to access the Gloomrat zone. And if you know anything about this area, what I think personally is what makes it a very secretly strong position for progression is that it's very close. It's not too far away from the Brighthaven Death Run up this way through all the bajillion musketeers. And then also you have this cave that comes out right here. So you teleport here, you do get everything, you farm everything you need in Cursed Forest, take the cave passage, and if you've built a base around here, you're home. And then similarly over here, you teleport right here, do the death run, but it's not too far in terms of like where it's located here. So that's a pretty good spot. And if there's a little entrance right here, a little secret Gloomrot spot here, what's interesting about that to me is there's not really anything around this area that matters. So like it's not like so okay, so if I'm looking at this, right, people are coming and going from this one spot from Cursed Forest like crazy because there's the only win in, it's the only win into Cursed Forest. And then also on top of that, you have to kill Wilfred here. So like there's people fighting Wilfred, there's people going in and out of Cursed Forest. It's like a kind of like a death trap right here. And I've had this. I mean, I've gotten to so many fights in this zone. It's not even funny in this whole area. Um, so having another secret way in to the area, that's kind of nice. I mean, like I can see a lot of people going in this way. I can see people going in this way. Obviously, there's gonna be people going in this way, but like this one little entrance here might be interesting. Is this gonna be like a not very used entrance, or is it gonna be an overly used entrance? I don't know. So yeah. Anyway, that was something interesting I noticed. But for now, we're gonna talk about base locations. What I think is gonna be kind of nuts in terms of like, or it can be kind of cool and interesting. So this spot here, I think might actually be really good. I've actually always thought this spot, even now, has always been good. But now, if this is a thing, it'll be even better. Inside this location in Gloomrot, this base location I think might have some merit, like anything around this zone, because the reason why is it's not too far inside Gloomrot, and if I'm not sure how the enemies are going to be in Gloomrot, I don't know how dangerous it's going to be, but obviously it's going to be a highly contested area for the end game loot. However, this spot right here specifically is not really that far from I mean, you can easily get in to this area. And I know like enemies and stuff are scary, patrols are scary, but if anyone who's done like a quick in-game progression run inside this in this game, inside in V Rising, you know that if you really want to, it's not that hard to like come in here and like yoink this spot. You can go here at literally level 1, get a horse, run up here, dodge all the stuff if you know how to if you know how to ride, and you're riding a horse that doesn't isn't like an 8-speed horse. You can come over here and yoink this, and then you just have all the access to this, and there's not any major giant enemy patrols here that are gonna kill you. There's like wolves, and that's it. So it's easy just to come in here and take this. I've taken this at level 10. I mean, you probably can take it earlier, but I've taken it at level 10 by building a castle heart here and then just going down this way and then straight down here, blocking all this off. And yes, it's scary. There's a lot of scary things around here. But if you take your time, you can block this off. I've had the spot here at level 10. I just thought it'd be cool to just live up here in Cursed Forest. Then you get a horse that's fast. Get a horse that's about 10 speed or higher, and you can just come back here, run, and then you take your cave passages down whenever you need to get out. Cave passage here. What I would do is I would take cave to here, and then I would run down, take this cave back to tier 1. And it was very much a long ride, and it was kind of crazy, but it was also kind of a fun run. So what I mean by to say with all that, the whole point of what I'm saying is you could very easily get a spot like this. It's not far outside of tier 2. Tier 2 is easily manageable in early game. So you can like run up here, get one of these spots real quick, claim your Gloomrot location at the very beginning of the game, and kind of work from there. Obviously, it might be annoying to get down to Fairbane or Farbane, whatever. Um, but I mean, if you're going fast, you can get out of tier 1 extremely quickly. And then you just kind of live here, do your stuff in Dunley, come back up here. And then once you're done with that, you're right next to Cursed Forest. And you're doing stuff in there, because you're right here. It's not too hard to get over there. And then from there, obviously, Silverlight, it's a little bit of a ride, but it's safe because it's at the top of the map. So you'd be about, this area here. You just run down, this path here, and you get to Silverlight. And you can just use the teleporter, etc., etc., etc. So that's an interesting spot. These are also interesting spots to me. If there is a bridge here, I have no idea if there is, but if there is a bridge here and these are claimable zones, these would be interesting because they're right next to Silverlight, right here. So we're close to Silverlight, just Silver Mines and Brighthaven. But we're also right here in Gloomrot, which seems to be fairly close to whatever this POI is. This little village, whatever that is, it's kind of close to those. So this could be an interesting location to build in. Would not really, I mean, again, I don't know what the enemies are like here, but if they're manageable enough, like Cursed Forest stuff, wouldn't be that hard to get in here, to get your foot in the door and kind of throw a base down in this location. So that's really interesting. And again, if this is an entrance, there's these spots over here. You get the idea. So I'm kind of looking at these spots that are like, how easy would it be to claim a spot here in Gloomrot that's like nice enough for end game to be inside Gloomrot, which is nice, but also close to the rest of the game to be able to make progress at a reasonable pace without having to do my what I did when I was an insane person and built a base in the most inaccessible spot in the whole map. I just have to run a bajillion years just to get back every single time you got anything. So, other than that, this spot actually, I love this spot. This spot might be a little bit better. Kind of annoying for the Brighthaven run because you have to do the death run, then you have to run for 37 minutes to come all the way back to up top here. However, it's not that far from Gloomrot, and this is if you guys know anything about this base, it's defensible and it's a very cool spot. It's also very much out of the way. There's nothing around here that matters other than Wilfred the Werewolf Chief. People run past it, like this zone a lot, so they may take a peek to see if there's anyone there. But like it's a good spot. It's very defensible and it's easy to it's easy to build here. And there's some I can see it being a little bit better now that it's gonna be close to Gloom right here. So that's interesting. Other than that, obviously the Silverlight stuff always gonna be crazy. Depending on how these base locations look after this update, these might be really nice because they're obviously inside Brighthaven and Silverlight, and they're close to Brighthaven, close to Gloomrot, and they're close to this cave, so you can do Cursed Forest runs and jump out the cave, come up here. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of commonality in the things that I'm talking about here. It's easy. It's fairly good locations, sort of central locations, so you can get out and back into your base as fast as possible. So you can farm what you need, kill the bosses you need, get back into your base as much as fast as possible from as many points on the map as you can, while also being uh, defensible enough or easily accessible enough for you. Maybe off the beaten path. I like those as well personally. It just depends on what kind of PvP you're running. Obviously, some people really just like to fight, and by all means, if you do, build a base here, have at it. These are going to be spots that people run by all the time. I mean, you get raided here a lot. These spots kind of get raided a lot. Stay in Fairbane if you really like to PvP because you're going to see a trillion people in Fairbane all the time. Uh, but if you're trying to have like a PvP run where you kind of want to just go real fast, but also kind of keep off people's radar and maybe surprise them, hey, surprise guys, I'm actually way further progressed than you thought I could be. You thought anyone else was. If you like that kind of type of play style, then there's some pretty cool base locations you can build for that. So anyway, this one's gonna be, I guess, probably a little bit shorter than the other one. I don't know, but I'm excited again. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions or like topics that you want me to talk about, I can talk about it. I have a decent amount of playtime in the game. I'm not gonna say I'm like a god at this game. I don't know everything, but I will say I know progression. I know bosses. I know how to I have a very defined path from boss to boss. Knowing exactly which boss to start. Hey, okay, we're gonna go Alpha Wolf, those kinds of things, right? Of course, but I have a plan. I kind of have a plan that goes through all of the entire game. So I go from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and I know I kind of have this like I know exactly the route I need to take and the thing I need to do. So, if you have any questions for that, I can go over my personal like preferences for that, my methods, or I can talk about a specific boss, whatever you'd like. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, let me know. And I will catch you in the next one.